So let me ask you this to wrap up. If you're a producer and you're looking at this and remake is not the way to go, and maybe you think it is, but if remake is not the way to go, if you have the rights to the wizarding world, as it were, what do you want to see? We've kind of done the prequel thing with Fantastic Beasts. Do you want to see
Talk about
Harry?
lack of commitment. We're still 2 movies short of that story wrapping
I
up.
know, gosh, what a no, seriously, that absolutely killed it because it was growing and building to this amazing Grindelwald, like everything coming to a head and
Yeah,
um but yeah, if you have the rights, what do you want to see?
that's a great, great question. So I think I do one of two things.
Hmm.
I would I so I think that let me do the one I like less and then the one I like more. Jump another 100 years in the future.
Hmm.
Give me 100 years, like the Harry Potter story is done. He's now there are books been written about him, but he's out of living memory, and so now you can tell a totally different wizarding story and set up another good versus evil. They kept saying like he's Voldemort is the darkest wizard in a century, right? So they never said, and a couple of times they do say maybe the darkest wizard of all time, but there can be other very powerful dark wizards, and maybe you tell a new story.
Hmm.
And maybe it's not surrounding one charismatic leader like a Voldemort, but maybe it's a dark movement. Maybe there's a different way of telling that. Um, but I think I actually might go backwards like 1,000 years in history.
Hmm.
Um, like give me, and maybe not back to the founding of Hogwarts. Maybe Hogwarts still exists, but in a somewhat infant form, where you get to build a larger wizarding world, but they're still figuring out the wizarding world. They're still figuring out how to manage magic or how to teach magic to young people. We get a fairly advanced version. There are books written, there are spells written, we have a very complex, well-developed wizarding world by the time Harry's born. Um, if you give backtrack 1,000 years, we're pre-Salem witch trials, we're pre all of this stuff, and we just get an interesting infant but still complicated wizarding world. There's some cool stories to be told there.
Yeah.
Um, and you get some wizards, again, you get early dark wizards who use magic to do very evil things. And you get some early good wizards who use magic to do good things. And
Uh-huh.
maybe it's a Hogwarts origin story, as I'm like doing this all in my head, where you say like, no, we need a place where we teach magic and we can't do it the way that everybody else does it. Where, and they even make this point in book 4 that like it was Durmstrang that teaches dark
Right,
magic.
right. Teaches dark arts, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Hogwarts chooses to only teach defense against the dark arts.
Yeah.
And maybe they say, like, no, we need a place now that teaches the defense against these things, but not to do bad things. So you get an infantile world that doesn't have a Hogwarts, where magic is much more willy-nilly. There's not books written, there's not a curriculum, so to speak. And then from this great evil that's now destroyed, you get the rise of the four wizards, the four houses, and they need a home, and they build Hogwarts. I think that's the story I'd tell.
Yeah,
How
I
about you?
love that.
That's a great question. That's a fun question. So yeah, so Dan, what if you were going to tell another story in the wizarding world? What story would you tell?
So I also have two different ideas. So one is, you know, the story of Harry Potter takes place largely in Britain. For as much as it's supposed to engage the whole wizarding world, it really doesn't. I mean, we get a little bit of Beauxbaton, a little bit of Durmstrang, but not a lot. So show me another one of those schools. Like
Hmm.
J.K. Rowling has these schools all over the world. She's talked about it in expanding writings and stuff. I think there's one in the U.S. Called Livermorny or something like that. But if you're gonna show me a new wizarding series, just do that. You want an American headmaster? Just do that. Like why are we doing Harry Potter again? Show me like the American version of it if you're gonna make it new and updated and everything. So that's one idea. It's not super fleshed out. The other one that I would want to do that I kind of feel is more on track with everything would be to continue the story with the kids. Not with Harry, not with Ron, not with Hermione, but the kids. Bring back whoever teachers you can, whatever professors, and bring it back to the continuity of the first films. The Cursed Child play. There's a ton of conflicting opinions on that. I've never seen it. I've read it. I don't want to get into it, but I think that the story of or the idea of showing me what their kids are up to at Hogwarts is kind of teased in that epilogue. And then
Hmm.
I don't need Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint to sign on. I mean, we never see Hermione's parents. Ron's parents play a role off and on, but like mostly it's the kids. So show
Hmm.
me the kids. And if you're, a season or two or a movie or two in, and Rupert Grint's like, yeah, okay, I'll come and shoot a couple scenes as so and so's dad. I think her name's Rose, like Rose's dad. Fine, do that, but show me those kids and show me what Hogwarts is like without the threat of Voldemort.
Yeah.
Like that kids are having adventures and they're learning and there's going to be all sorts of other stuff without this giant threat of Voldemort hanging over it. I mean, you really don't get a single normal school year. Voldemort is there at every turn. So show me what it's like without that. And I think you can still have some super fun adventures. Bring back the Triwizard Tournament and do that
Oh
again.
yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
show me that 20 years later, and they're like, hey, last time we tried this, somebody died. This time, it's Harry Potter's son is the champion. Ooh, you can have a lot of fun with it without having all the darkness
Yeah.
involved. So that's my biggest thing that I would push. Like, it doesn't have to be Voldemort again. We're done with that. Don't
Hmm.
keep going back to that same thing, but show me more of Hogwarts. It looks like such an incredible place, and there's more mystery to be held there, which I think why yours makes sense to show the founding of it.
Yeah.
Show more kids going and having adventures there and dealing with like the post Voldemort era. What's that going to look like? So
Yeah.
that's what I would push for. But
That's cool. That could be really, really fun. Of just like a Hogwarts without Voldemort, and what kind of adventures and chicanery and all kinds of other things the kids are going to get into. Um, but without again this like looming larger Wizarding World threat. Yeah.
mhm.